Welcome to the True Love Secrets Revealed online summit. Today we have with us Chantal Landreville. Chantal is a certified love and relationship coach with over 2 decades of experience in the realm of personal growth and human connection. Her mission is to help individuals discover the path to authentic and lasting love, and she's dedicated to empowering us with the knowledge and tools needed to create healthy, fulfilling relationships. Chantal's work is renowned for its emphasis on personal development, self-acceptance, and effective communication. She is an advocate for love as a transformative force in people's lives. Welcome, Chantal. I have been wanting to have you for so long. I'm so happy you're here. Welcome.
I'm so excited. Yes, it's been a long time coming. Very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh my goodness, my pleasure. They are going to love you. You have a book coming up, which is so awesome. And so we are going to talk a little bit about that, if you don't mind. Maybe getting
Yes,
some wisdom
I
from
got
you.
my
Oh, there
first
you have it.
copy of the hardcover copy yesterday. Jesus.
No, I love hard copies. Oh my God, they're my favorite. They're my favorite.
Same.
So I'm going to place the link to, sorry, I got so excited. Do you have it already for sale or not yet?
Some of the formats are. The paperback is
Okay.
already up online. I'm actually going to post those today, and so is the Kindle. So yes, but the
Okay, I
official.
am going to post the link so you can go and grab her book on the email. So it's there. It's an amazing book. So, Chantal, what are some of the misconceptions about love and relationships that you address in the book?
So first off, I always say I love to give the truth serum, and my vision on love and relationship is not as sexy as what we love to envision, right? I've come to realize through my journey, through writing the book, and even in my own relationship, that we are so in love with the idea of being in love, and the idea of being in love of what we've been taught is very rom-com Disneyfied, and that does not sustain or can help you work through a long-term committed relationship. So one of the things that I start with in the book is to actually ask yourself, what is your definition of love, and what do you want your relationship with love to be? Because when I founded my company and the program, Raise Your Love Signal, this is one of the first questions that I started asking when I did my research to many, many, many women and men. And it was so interesting to hear all the different answers, and we all, I would say 99.5% of the answers were all about other people, never about ourselves. Now, you
Wow.
and I do this work. We've been doing this work for a long time, and we both know that a huge component of being able to be in a healthy, loving relationship is loving yourself first, because your partner will only love you as much as you love yourself. So that was really eye-opening for me, because I even hadn't taken the time to ask myself, yeah, what does actually love mean to me, and what is my definition of love, and how do I want to receive love? So that opened a whole new gateway that I was like, wow, we don't actually really take the time to think about these things.
Right, right. Wow, that is fabulous. It's the foundation. It's the foundation to know what love is. Oh my God, I can relate so much to that. I remember when I was in my late 30s, I just got my first computer then, and I had Google and I searched what love is.
Mm,
And what I want to share, because maybe somebody can relate to this, it's
yeah.
the intense shame I felt for not knowing what
Mm,
love was. And I thank God and all the smart people we have in this world for creating Google,
yeah. Yeah.
because I had like a best friend there that wasn't going to judge me. And I could ask the question, what love is, how beautiful, how beautiful. And it's the beginning. That's the beginning. I agree with you. Thank you for sharing that. So, and your book, sorry, emphasizes personal development and self-acceptance, as you just said. You just mentioned a little bit of that. How do these elements play a crucial role in finding and nurturing love? You also touched a little bit on that, that if we don't love ourselves, could you please amplify that concept?
With pleasure. So in the book, I actually talk about it's divided in 3 love lessons.
Oh,
So the first love lesson is what I called your wants, right? When we are looking for love, a little bit like the whole definition of love that we just talked about, we need to define what it is that we actually want. And most people think they know what they want, but they don't really take the time to think about what they need, and especially not from a relationship perspective. And
mm,
there's a big difference between wants and needs. I typically describe them as wants are very superficial, very self-absorbed. I want her to be financially off. I want him to be tall. I want her to be funny. I want him to cook. You know what I mean? It's very you want, me. But we don't, and it's very partner focused. We don't take the time to think of how am I going to grow and evolve in this relationship? What's the foundation that I need? What are the core values that I need to make sure I share with this person? How do I want this person to show up for me in financial hard times, or if I lose my job, or if I lose a parent, or if we have kids? We really don't propel. And sometimes I there's a part of contradiction, because in the dating segment, I say it's very important to stay present. But I think that when we build our vision of what we want in a relationship, you have to think how I'm going to grow and evolve with this person. So that's number one. Number two, the love lesson is yourself. So this goes back to a lot of obviously self-love. What's your self-worth, your confidence? Because for the longest time, and you would talk to any of my close friends, they were sure I was the most confident person ever. I've always had a strong personality. But I came to realize, and this only 5 years ago, and I had been doing this kind of work for a long time, that my self-worth was zero. So
mm,
one of the reasons why I couldn't attract a committed emotional person was that my subconscious didn't feel worthy of attracting and receiving the kind of love I desired. That's huge. So
right.
if you don't feel worthy of it, how can you attract it? And I think what circles back is the more you do that vision exercise of getting clear, because you get down to core things, your
Right.
value system, your boundaries. What are you willing to put up with in the long run? What really, really matters to you in the long run? It's not, when I met my boyfriend, I always wanted to be with someone who dances, and he doesn't dance. He has 2 left feet. Like, it's crazy. And I thought it was a deal breaker. But at the end of the day, that's not what's going to sustain a long-term committed relationship. It's how he supports me and
Right.
encourages me to go out and do my dancing. And sometimes they'll have to have a few shots of tequila to do a dance on the dance floor. But I think that when you talk about yourself, the self-awareness component of really being able to have the hard questions with yourself, to really get so clear on what it is that really matters, that you will not compromise yourself when you start dating. Because here's the thing, when we start dating, we often pretend to be someone we're not to be liked, or we really like someone, so we'll say, yeah, I actually like this, or I don't mind that, when in the background it's not the case, right?
Right. Right.
So which ends up kind of biting you in the ass later in life, because you've pretended to be someone you're not. And the other thing is that we often will swipe things under the rug when we feel that, someone's behavior is not okay with us, because we like them, because we're desperately seeking a relationship, all of these things. So that's why that the journey with yourself, honoring yourself, being so clear on what those boundaries, those needs are, will
Wow.
help you have what I call in the book the eagle eye vision, where you see fully what's happening. You won't get trapped or blindsided when you start dating and you do like that person for the wrong reasons.
Right.
And then the last love lesson is all about how your dating journey and how to make sure you've set the right foundations before you go into your actual relationship. Because here's the thing, you know, this as much as this is the romantic relationship book, I think everything that I talk about in the book is applicable to any relationship. So things like respect, things like thoughtfulness and kindness in relationship, I talk about practicing these skills before you go into relationship with your current relationship.
Awesome.
And that doesn't mean your romantic relationships, because if these are muscles that we haven't developed and we don't know anything about, you need to allow yourself the time to develop that muscle. You know, the perfect example that we can both relate to and everybody can relate to is vulnerability.
Yes.
How many of us struggle being vulnerable and think vulnerable is a weak thing? And I was that person, type A, independent, you know, self-reliant, had to be most of my life. And this was my mechanism. So it was really hard to let anybody into my own bubble. But the thing is, if you want to be in a healthy, long-term committed relationship, you need to have a form of vulnerability. And because this
Absolutely.
develops safety, right? So I needed to started practicing that skill. And thank God I started when I did, because by the time I got into my relationship, it was easier, but I still struggled with it because it was the first time I had that open vulnerability with a man.
Right.
So hence why these skills need to really be developed as much as we
Absolutely.
can, right?
Yes. Oh my God. Everything you said is so amazing. It's so amazing. I mean, it's just, I hope you ladies have a book and are taking notes because it's unbelievable. Yes, yes to everything. I mean, I'm just going to highlight two things, so much I could say, but the self-worth idea. I had a relationship when I was on my 20s where he was absolutely everything I have ever dreamed of. Like he checked all the boxes, and but I had the list, so it was a good thing that it didn't work out at the end because I needed to grow. But anyway, at that time he was checking all the boxes, and I felt so insecure with him. I became I didn't even have an opinion. Me, I am super opinionated, and I have ideas a lot. And I will say, I couldn't even talk when I was with him, and that eventually, became a problem. So it's so important to know our value and to make sure we are in a good space where we are not being our worst enemies and self-sabotaging. That's what I did. And the second one is a great segue for my next question about communication, is about being vulnerable. Sometimes what used to happen to me is I would be, before I did the work, I would be vulnerable, but then people will respond to me in a way that was either intrusive or giving me unsolicited advice or thinking that, because I was being vulnerable, I was weak. How I fixed that is with number one, a very strong backbone that I developed that allowed me to express boundaries. So if I was being vulnerable and a man, because men, they want to fix things. So if the man was jumping into fixing things, I would say something like, uh, I can hear you. It feels good to hear that you want to help me, but I just want to express how I feel. I don't want a solution to my problem right now. What do you think? That way, we could keep having a good communication. And I know that effective communication is It's always like often, it's the key in healthy relationships. Can you share some tips for our listeners on how to improve communication with their partners?
Yes, and this is one of my favorite topics because I was the worst communicator and
Hard
not
to believe.
exactly. But because of the lack of vulnerability, I would always shut down as soon as I started expressing myself. If I was cut off, if, somebody would interrupt me or attack or give me advice, unsolicited advice. And I
Right.
think the number one thing, well, there's a few things here. You know, we tend to give the way we want to receive. So oftentimes it's not, how you think you might want to be handled is probably not the other way the person needs to. So only you can take ownership of sharing what it is that you need. So for example, in my case, when I decided to express vulnerability, I told my girlfriend, because I started with one friend where I felt very safe with, I said, listen, I struggle with this. It's really hard for me to express myself. What I need from you when I will do this is to be silent, is not to give me advice. I just need you to hold space for me. And if I ask you, then it's the time. She was like, okay, I got this. So there was no form of judgment. There was no form of criticism whatsoever because I took the time to express it. And I think the biggest mistake we do when we communicate is not, we want the other person to know what's going on in our heads. And everybody is so different. Nobody comes from the same background. Nobody was raised the same. Nobody, like, for us to expect that the other person will guess what's going on in our brain is completely ridiculous. So you really need to take ownership of sharing and expressing what it is that you need and want. And I always say this crazy example. I remember one of my girlfriends has been married for a long time, and it was really important for her to get a birthday card. But every time her husband would ask, she would say, no, it's fine. It's fine. I don't need it. And then what do you think it would happen? She'd be upset. He didn't get me a card. And one day I confronted her and I said, why are you not saying what it is that you actually need? Because you're playing the game. Just say to him, yes, I need you to get, it's important to me that I get a birthday card every year
Yeah.
because you're playing games with him. So of course he's like not doing it. And she was like, yeah. And then she started doing it. And from that moment on, her husband got her a birthday card every single year.
Yeah. That's
But the dynamic of being able to express our needs is fully our own responsibility. So that's number one. Number two, there's three tips that I share when we talk about communication. This obviously is applicable to any relationship with another person. It's not just in romantic relationship. When we want to share, when we're hurt, when we're upset, whatever it is that we want to express, we want, and this is common in every single human being, we want to feel heard, right? If you're going to express yourself, you want to feel heard and listened to. So
yeah.
number one, be present to the conversation. We often do what I call passive listening instead of active listening, especially if we're having an argument. We're already thinking of what we're going to respond instead of really being present to what the person is saying.
Um,
I was the queen of that as well. It's just like, oh, but I want to say, and it's no. Take a pause, breathe, and fully be present to the conversation the person is sharing in front of you. The second thing is hold space and acknowledge what the person is saying. And this can be just, as small as I understand, I hear what you're saying. If I understood you correctly, these are all sentences that can make someone feel heard and safe. And like a small example of if you're at a party, and I'm sure you've experienced this many times, we meet people. What's your name? Hi, I'm Chantal. 2 seconds later, shit, what's their name? Because we're already in moving parts, so we're not being present to the moment. And for me, every time I'm in a party and someone actually remembers my name, it always squeezes my heart. Like I'm impressed. I'm always like, wow, and it's just remembering my name. It's a small thing that makes such a big difference.
wow.
So passive versus active listening versus passive listening. Number 2 is hold space and acknowledge the conversation. Number 3 is apologize if the person needs it. And that doesn't mean sorry, I'm wrong. It's more like, I'm so sorry you're going through this. I'm sorry I made you feel this way. And it just, what that does is that it completely demolishes the bomb that's building inside of the person that's trying to express themselves to you, and you feel important. And that's been a massive game changer in all of my relationships. And then tip number 4 is, what's the solution? What do you need me to do? And it's, you talked about men want to fix stuff. So it's like, how can I fix it? How can we make sure this doesn't happen again? What can I do to help? You know, it's all these little words that can transform a conversation when we're communicating. And these are applicable at your workspace, with a friend, work, in anything you do.
Right. Oh my God. It makes such a big difference. It's day and night. It's day and night. And it's the small things that count, you know, when you are in a relationship or trying to create a healthy relationship, as you said, with anybody. It's the little small things every day, and having great communication is life changing for sure. For sure, my communication used to suck. I was really bad at communicating as well. That doesn't mean that I wasn't talking. I was talking a lot. But
Yes.
yeah,
Over talking is not necessarily great communication.
right, right. So when I learned how to communicate in a healthy, mature, non-violent way, it was amazing. I
Yeah.
have a last question for you. Is there one single issue you see again and again that stops people to find the one or finding the one?
Yes. Yes. Actually, there's
Oh, we are all here.
I will start with the one. So I think the biggest issue I'm seeing is, you know, people have never wanted to be or experience deeper connections, human connections, but we're so afraid to actually open our heart and invest our heart, our time, our vulnerability with another person. This is the biggest mistake I see, because most people say, yes, I want to be in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship. And I fully take ownership, because I used to be that person as well, where I thought I was ready for love. And I had this like brick wall around my heart.
Right,
So how is it, you can bring in or call in a proper healthy love if you're so protected? And I see this all the time, and people don't even know it. It's only when I start doing the work with them that they realize, oh, I've been in protective mode for such a long time. And it's often subconsciously because of our past hurt, because we're afraid of being disappointed, all of these things. So make sure you ask yourself, is my heart truly open? Because
right,
if your heart is not truly open, you could continuously continue having the pattern of attracting what hasn't worked for you, right? So you have to change that to be able to attract something or call in something completely different.
right.
um and then, do you want me to share a second one?
Yes, we're all about bonuses. Yes,
I would say, you know, most people have very, very high expectations with people
right.
they don't know. And that's why you know, it's not our fault. We've never been taught how to be in a relationship. These are not skills that were taught to us in school, which is
Absolutely.
so, but we do have very, very high expectations from people we don't know, or how we want our relationships to develop. And that's where I tell people to slow your roll. Take the time to get to know someone. And if you feel that you've found the right person, you'll have the rest of your life to do and
Right,
build things together. But wanting to propel and make things happen very, very quickly, you miss really important steps. And you need to give the other person time. Let's say a person like me that struggled with vulnerability,
yeah.
to feel safe so I can
Right,
open and open and open, right? I
right,
look at the
right.
relationship I'm in today. I never experienced what I'm experiencing. And I left, I had to I left my full-time job to focus on my coaching practice 100% this year, and it was a leap because my boyfriend is supporting me financially in many ways until things are like fully on. And just that exercise, I would have never been able to manage it years ago, or even at the start of our relationship. Now it's in a healthy way where I don't feel threatened. I don't feel like it's under a condition.
Oh my
It's,
goodness.
so, but this is with time, because of the
Right,
trust that we've built, because of the investment that we've made in getting to know one another and allowing each other to be one who we are,
right.
and honoring that and respecting that, because we're often trying to change people in relationship. So slow your roll and, calm down with the expectations.
I love it. I love it. Great advice. Great, 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 great advice. There is anything else you would like to share with the audience?
Read my book.
Yes,
I think,
absolutely.
now I will say this. I will say this, that I had to really, everything that I talk about in the book, one of them was really change my perspective on how I had been raised to think about what love is versus what it actually really is. And it's
Right,
two different things. So I think that we need to reevaluate our relationship with what that really means and why we want to be in relationships. It's really asking yourself those tough questions, like what is love to me, and how do I define love, instead of getting caught up in the romance of things. And I want to be very uh uh how do I say? I'm thinking of the word in French here. I'm saying this because it happened to me 5 years ago. The year before I met my boyfriend, I got caught up, and I knew this stuff. I got caught up in the fantasy when I met
mm,
someone of being in love and what it came with, but it
right,
was not the right person for me. I could feel the red flags from the beginning. I just let myself get wrapped up in the fantasy.
right.
And that's not love. That's not what's going to make sure that you sustain that healthy relationship. So be careful and ask yourself the questions that we talked about from the beginning of the episode, where it's, how do I want to grow and evolve in a relationship? What is love? How do I want my relationship to love to be? Am I, trying to be in a fairy tale and in a rom-com or Disneyfied section?
Right.
So change your perspective on what we've been taught about it, basically.
Right, right. Yes, it's way deeper than that, and it's so worth it. Oh my goodness, I
Yes,
love love, and I just love being married and with the right guy, of course.
with the
And
right.
I definitely love love. You have an amazing gift for our viewers as well. Would you mind to share what the gift is about?
Yeah, so talking about communication, I have a free masterclass on how to communicate in relationship, and this covers a few of the things and the tips that I shared earlier when we were talking about communication. But it's a 60-minute crash course on helping you how to manage communication in relationship, including how to flow through conflict, how to flow
Wow.
when you're being, triggered or you're reactive. So some really, really great insights in that 60-minute masterclass.
Oh my goodness, sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. Yes, definitely communication is so, so important. So, ladies, grab it. I
Yes.
am going to share it also on the email. Thank you so much, Chantal. Has been such a pleasure to have you. A dream made true. I am so happy we are together in this journey and that, we are colleagues. I'm so proud of you. So
Thank you.
happy for your book. That is such a huge, humongous accomplishment. I mean, you have it in your hand.
Yes,
Oh
I
my
know.
God. How do you feel when you grabbed the first one and the first copy, or was it good? Was it like a what?
Yeah, it was like, I can't believe I did this. I did this.
Right.
I did this, and I'm going to embrace it, and I'm going to celebrate it. And,
Yes,
it's such a big part of everything I've been through when I was single for 18 years to get to
that's
where
a
I'm
long time to.
literally like the best of what I've learned in the last 20 years and the hundreds of thousands of dollars it cost me
I know, right?
one guide. So it's beautiful, and it's nice to reread your work and say, wow, oh yeah, this is so good. So easy to read and easy to reread. It's one thing I wanted to do was to create something. That's why I call it a guide, that it's not overwhelming. It just gives you the best of, and you, whatever these tips and tricks, you apply them, and it will transform how you go about any of your relationships.
I am so, so excited for you, and I am so happy to promote your book with our audience, because the happier women are, the happier the world is. We have the right hand. At the end of the day, we are the creators. So,
Yes, the work pays off, ladies. So Natalia and I are in both amazing relationships, and it makes a world of a difference
oh
to
my God,
experience
totally.
love the way we've had the chance, or we still have the chance to experience. It does exist. So I wish that for all the ladies out there that are on their journey to finding their love.
How beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.